Hey everybody, welcome to Body Doc. So many of you have probably experienced this before, and if you have, this video is really going to speak to you. You may have injured your back and noticed that if you coughed or sneezed, it was just sort of excruciatingly painful. And this illustrates a really important point about disc pathology and where that disc lies in your body. So what I have here to my right is a topic called the thecal cavity or the thecal space. And you don't hear about this one very often, but I find it to be unbelievably profound and really important in regards to application into, obviously, when your back is hurting you and to be able to determine the cause of back pain. One of the easiest things in the world for me to figure out as a chiropractor is if somebody comes in and they fill out an intake form and they tell me that when they cough or sneeze, that it hurts them a lot in their back, I know exactly what's broken. And here's why. Your body's got three basic spaces where pressure can be held. The thoracic space, which is where your lungs are. So if you were to sort of take a big deep breath and fill up your lungs, that space would be full. And there'd be some pressure of your lungs going out against the internal portions of your rib cage. The abdominal space that has all your gastrointestinal organs to it. And the thecal space. In this drawing here, I've indicated that the thoracic space is in yellow, the abdominal space is in orange, and the thecal space is in purple. So one must think about the pressures that are moving in and around your body. And it's extremely important on a preventive level as much as it is on a treatment level to understand this concept. When I take a deep breath and I've filled my lungs, and maybe when I've held my stomach muscles really tight and I've trapped my abdominal space, I have now put all the pressure into the thecal space, because there's a beautiful dynamic of how this pressure is going to flow in and out of these three spaces when we move about each day and when we're doing exercises in the gym. So, for instance, when you're doing abdominal training, it's important to breathe out, because what you're doing is essentially you're putting a lot of pressure into the abdominal space. And because you're lying on the floor and you're doing sit-ups and you're putting a lot of load, you're putting a lot of pressure into the thecal space. So if you're not breathing properly, there's nowhere for things to go. And most of the time that pressure is going to go into that thecal space, and it's going to cause some disruption to those discs in between your vertebrae, which can cause them to rupture, can cause them certainly to hurt. So really important takeaway from this is, we learned this years ago as well, called the Valsalva maneuver, which was the breathing out when you're overcoming resistance. And we were learning that more so for about blood pressure, which is that the space within your blood vessels can also have pressure that pushes outward. If you don't breathe out properly while you're lifting a heavy weight off the ground, you could put pressure into that system and raise your blood pressure and perhaps put pressure on your arteries or your capillary beds. But this is also functionally appropriate to breathe out when you're lifting weights to take pressure out of that thecal space. Very important concept. Apply it. So when you're doing abdominal training, make sure you're exhaling and breathing out. Make sure you're working on fluidity in your motions, so you're not holding your breath, you're not holding undue tension in the system. And all these things will help you to prevent a disc injury from happening in the first place, and will certainly help you to get back into the gym after you've dealt with an acute lumbar disc injury from something you've done elsewhere. So I hope this video helps you to understand a really cool, important process, something that I don't see out there very often, I've thought about for a long time and applied here in my office, is the understanding and the appreciation of the thecal space. Take care.